is that this starts the inflammatory cascade, and the end result of that is pain. Redness, swelling, pain. But it's really starting at the cellular level. As a physician, what we do is when you come in and complain to us about pain, we'll give you medications. Tell you to ice it, rest it, ice it, and typically take some anti-inflammatories. So anti-inflammatories, ibuprofen, Advil, Aleve, Motrin, Celebrex, all those medications work here by preventing the cascade and decreasing pain. One of the problems is that anti-inflammatories work great for a short time, but a lot of people take them chronically or for a long term. That's where we get into problems. If you take it for long term, it also blocks normal things like the GI system. In the GI system, if you block that normal pathway, you start getting ulcers. And that's one of the biggest side effects of anti-inflammatories, either gastritis, peptic ulcer disease, or bleeding ulcers, which can cause significant problems. About 30,000 people a year die just from bleeding ulcers from this, from over-the-counter and prescription anti-inflammatories. If you take it for a longer period of time, you start getting renal problems. Because again, anti-inflammatories are so good at blocking normal pathways that they also block, the inflammatory cascade, that they also block normal pathways we don't want to block. One of those is in the kidney system. When you block that, you start decreasing the ability of the kidneys to work, and people can get kidney dysfunction or even kidney failure. A lot of the pharmaceutical companies realized this was a problem. So what they did is they threw lots of money and came up with a very specific anti-inflammatory that's a COX-2 inhibitor. We all know about Celebrex, Bextra, Vioxx. The big problem with Vioxx was that it blocked another normal pathway that was necessary for the heart. And people started having an increased incidence of cardiac issues. And Vioxx specifically got pulled off the market after a whistleblower, brought the research to Congress saying that, hey, this is a big problem with this anti-inflammatory. I had a lot of patients on Vioxx. It was a great medicine. It was really good at doing this. But the problem is that the risk profile had too much of this.
Free radicals are unpaired electrons that are basically looking for a partner. They're like a magnet that wants to attach to something. It's looking for a friend. And free radicals attached to cell cause damage, creates this inflammatory response and cascade. And this is really how things like oxidative stress, exposure to sunlight, pollutants, normal metabolism, a lot of environmental and normal metabolic functions create oxidative stress, which creates free radicals. Antioxidants are basically that other magnet. They're the good magnet that goes and grabs the free radical before it causes any cellular damage. Okay? That is why antioxidants are preventative. They actually protect the cell from ever having the damage that occurs from oxidative stress or being exposed to the free radical, which decreases inflammation. And that Time article is really good about talking about this. It describes how the base of most medical problems really are in inflammation. Inflammation is really the initiating event that causes cellular damage, that causes a lot of these medical issues. So this is just a quick overview on what antioxidants do, what omega-3s do. One of the examples someone came up with is that omega-3s are like the castle, the fortress, and antioxidants are like the army that's out there battling the invaders away from home base. How many here take fish oil? Anyone here take fish oil? Do you know why you take fish oil? Yeah, but there's some new people here not on MOXXOR. Do you know why you take fish oil? And Fred, do you know why you take it for your heart? Exactly. Well, let me tell you. The reason fish oil is important for heart prevention, the reason the American Heart Association many years ago said people need to have a diet high in fish or take omega-3 supplements is because they're a cell stabilizer that decrease inflammation. Well, what is one of the silent killers besides diabetes and high blood pressure? It's inflammation in coronary vessels. I don't have a red pen, but inflammation in coronary vessels, this is, say, the lumen of a heart vessel. Inflammation is actually what causes, thank you, ink throw it up. Inflammation in heart vessels is one of the causes of why cholesterol sticks to the lumen of blood vessels, okay? So in allopathic or typical medicine, you have a bunch of cholesterol going through your blood vessel, which is actually, cholesterol is an important part of your body's system. And we need cholesterol. High cholesterol is associated with heart disease, but it's not the main cause. Inflammation is the other side of the equation. When you have inflammation in your blood vessel, what happens is that it can create an irritant of the lumen or the intima, and the cholesterol adheres to it, kind of protects it. And what happens over time is that the cholesterol builds a plaque. That plaque then gets calcified, you get a calcific plaque. And over time, as that grows, you decrease blood flow, and you have a heart attack or a stroke, depending on where it is. The reason why omega-3s are good in the heart is because they decrease the inflammation, which is why the cholesterol sticks in the first place. So you really need to look at cholesterol, and you gotta look at the inflammation in blood vessels, okay? I don't know if everyone here has, but I've heard the stories of, yeah, Jeff.
Do the omega-3s actually decrease the level of cholesterol in someone's
Yes.
body, or do they decrease its need for being there to patch up, let's say, what's happening?
Both. It actually does both. It decreases and improves cholesterol profiles, but also decreases the inflammation throughout the body, but specifically the coronary vessels. And that's one of the reasons why fish oil. Fish oil is not a very strong anti-inflammatory, but it works at a preventative level, and I'll get into that more. So it actually works both. One of the things that we do in allopathic medicine is we decrease cholesterol, and I've known patients that, or I should say stories, where people have a cholesterol of 158 and they're athletic and they drop dead of a heart attack at age 54. It's not, and they have a great cholesterol profile. The problem is that they have a genetic predisposition, or they have the information that they don't know about that the doctor doesn't check. And so that's why, even recently, over the past 3 months, there's more and more information coming out from the cardiology specialists saying we need to be looking at C-reactive protein. We need to be looking at the level of inflammation in the body as the other half of the equation. And that would be something that you hear more and more about in medicine. But that's one of the reasons why people take fish oil. It decreases inflammation because it's a weak anti-inflammatory, but it is a natural anti-inflammatory. When people buy fish oil, one of the things you look at is how many milligrams of EPA and DHA are in the supplement. EPA and DHA are only 2 of 8 omega-3s. Omega-3 is a type of polyunsaturated fatty acid, which is like saying 4. You have different types of 4s. Omega-3s are different types of omega-3. These are only 2 of them. The amount of EPA and DHA is almost irrelevant with regard to effect. It's much more complicated than how much EPA and DHA is. EPA and DHA can be in a triglyceride form, it can be a phospholipid form, it can be polar, it can be non-polar, and all these things are important. When you go buy the bottle of fish oil at the store and you look at how many milligrams, and you pick one bottle and go, oh, this one has 800 milligrams, this one has 500 milligrams, intuitively you think the one with 800 milligrams is better, but it's not. It actually, you're not sure which is which, because it can be polar, it can be non-polar, it can be in a triglyceride form, or the phospholipid form. One of the reasons that happens is because the way fish oil is produced is that they take the remnants of the fishing industry and they blast steam through it, which is distillation, and they are able to extract these oils. One of the problems with that is that when you put steam or heat through anything like protein or oils, it denatures the protein, it denatures the oils, it makes them less bioavailable, it breaks up the chains. And that actually increases the amount of EPA and DHA, but it also decreases the amount of the longer fatty chains, which are actually just as important. You really need a balance of all the omega-3s, not just EPA and DHA. These are just the most commonly known ones. And that's what consumers tend to look at. And one of the reasons that we talk about this is to educate you. It does not matter how many milligrams of EPA and DHA are in there. If I can drill that 10 more times, that's the point you gotta take home. So, fishing industry, number one,